Trying to build up their army by snatching these children, and they would be just whipped and kidnapped out of villages from the age of 9.
Could you imagine your child being handed a gun and forced to be a soldier?
And that was the end of their childhood, the end of their education. So they were given drugs, and they were desensitized to a degree by having to shoot and kill people.
Helen Fletcher, a registered nurse from Victoria, was working as a volunteer on a Mercy ship, a hospital ship that takes medical people around the world to help the poor. Helen's ship docked in Liberia.
This is where Liberia is, on the west of Africa.
She heard horror stories of children being forced to fight in a civil war.
Children had to go along with the armies. Some of them became sex slaves, girls and boys. And the girls were also forced to fight at the front lines, and if they didn't, they were shot.
The war ended in 2004. But what do you do with young men, now 18, 19, 20 years old, who have only learned one skill: killing?
No job, no education, no food, no help. And a lot of them were totally separate from their families. They didn't know where their families were.
So Helen began working on a program to get these young men to trade their guns in for tools or a chance to learn a trade.
I felt like it was God saying, I want you to do this, because no one else was doing it. We had a machine that actually destroys landmines, and it will just chew up these guns. The guns were checked ahead of time for ammunition to make sure they're empty, and then we actually got the soldiers themselves to put the gun in the machine and destroy it. And that emotionally lets go of that dependence. It's gone. It was amazing, and if they didn't have a gun, they'd go get one so they could register. When they study, it's free for them, so the instructors we pay for, and we find a building and we buy all the different tools.
Despite it not being a very safe place to visit.
But I've been accosted a few times, and now I usually have a driver and a bodyguard.
Helen plans to return to Liberia in February. She continues to fundraise. This weekend, stylists from 2 salons in the Bay Center are donating their time and talents to help Helen out.
It's going to be $10 manicures and $20 haircuts. It's from 11 to 5 in the Bay Center Mall.
And I'm so convinced that the way to do it is to enable these people to reduce their own poverty. Just give them the tools and let them go and do it. It's not something we have to do for them. Just enable them.
In Victoria, I'm Kahan for The Daily.